you looking to up your real estate investing game? Well, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Sub2Deals Show with your host, Sub2 expert William Tingle.
Hey, Sub2ers, this is William Tingle of Sub2Deals.com. I'd like to welcome you to this episode of the Sub2Deals Show, where we discuss all things subject to. We like all aspects of real estate, but we really like getting the deeds, so that's really what we focus on here. Today's episode, the topic is marketing. Marketing is getting out there and getting leads from our sellers and our buyers, because you have to have a buyer to really have a payday, don't you? Okay, so what are we going to talk about today? Well, I want to start with the importance of marketing, why it's important, other than just getting the leads. But one of the components of marketing, especially on a local level, is to establish some branding. You want people to know what you do, and that's really going to help you generate more leads. When everyone knows what you do. I give an example a lot of times of being in Home Depot one day. This was back when I invested locally in Georgia. I was in Macon, Georgia, and bought a lot of houses down there for several years. And one day I just happened to be in Home Depot and walked by a couple of guys, and I heard one of them say, "Hey, that's the house man." Now, I'd never met either one of those guys, but that one experience really let me know that I must have been doing a pretty good job at letting people know that I buy houses. And that really goes a long way. A lot of the old school methods of marketing will do that for you. Not only will it generate leads, but it also lets people know who you are. They've seen your ad in the paper for a long time. They know you've been around for a little while. It really helps establish some credibility. Now, lately, I've seen, some comments and things where, people seem to feel like old school marketing just doesn't work anymore. It's not worth doing or whatever the case may be. But I've got to tell you, I did it for a long time and still use some of the methods today. And here's my thoughts on it. Just because something's talked about a lot doesn't mean it's old and tired and worn out. And I'll give you an example for this. Let's talk about bandit signs just a little bit. Now, most investors know what bandit signs are. They're these coroplast or foam board signs that you order or you make if you like to do that sort of thing yourself. And you go out and you put them on telephone poles or on stakes, and they say, "We buy houses," and that sort of thing. And, some people say, well, bandit signs, they've been around so long and this and that. But this is one of the things that I do. Now, I live out of the country about 10 months out of the year, but I am in the States, several times a year. And when I am, and when I'm in a new town, one of the things that I like to do is if I see a bandit sign, just pick up the phone and call the number. And I got to tell you, 9 times out of 10, nobody answers the phone. And if you try it yourself, I'm sure you'll find the same experience. Just because people put them out, I don't know if they're afraid to talk to someone or whatever the case may be. But if you're spending the money on the signs, you've really got to pick up the phone and talk to somebody when they call you. It just really doesn't make any sense to me, but that's how it works. So, you'll pass by a pole that'll have 4 or 5 signs on it. And I'm telling you, if a really motivated seller, somebody that really needs to get out of a bad situation, then just decides they're going to sell their house, and they go out and they call a few numbers, you may be the 5th call they make and the first person that picks up the phone. So, bandit signs, I think they're great. And we actually used them until just very recently. I'm to the point now to where I buy, just 10 or 15 houses a year, not a whole bunch. You can make a great income doing that. I just don't want to work that hard at this point in my life. But, you can buy a lot more using bandit signs, but we just recently stopped doing it as we've started to rely more on referral type stuff and then doing a few other things. So let's go back to the beginning. Let's talk just a little bit about some old school stuff. Now, classified ads, for example, they could be expensive. Some people say newspapers, who reads a newspaper anymore? But, obviously they still produce one. People still subscribe. If If they couldn't make enough money to stay in business, they wouldn't. And what you'll find is, I'm going to ask you to do something. I want you to go get your newspaper and open it up and tell me if you see any ads in there from investors. What you'll probably find in some of the bigger cities is that you're going to see one or two ads in the newspaper that are always there. They're just there all the time. They have been, and they'll continue to be. As different things happen, a seminar comes into town, or you start getting the advertisements on television about some seminar that's coming to town, you'll get new ads that pop up in the paper, and they'll stay for a couple of weeks or a month, and then they're gone again. But the one or two that you'll see in the paper that stay there all the time, they're going to be the players in town that put an ad in, and they just pay the bill every month. And the reason they do that is because they know that even if it costs them $500 a month to run that ad, and it costs them $6,000 a year to do it, one deal more than pays for the ad for the next several years. And that's just really how you have to look at it. If you can't afford to do it, there are plenty of other things that you can do to generate leads. You don't have to run a classified ad. But that's just something to think about. Again, you're talking about something that helps you with your branding and giving you credibility in the business. And that's what I found that my ad did when I ran those. And don't forget about the small newspapers, the Thrifty Nickel or the Green Sheet or whatever they may call it in your area. Those ads are typically a lot less expensive. A lot of people still read those little newspapers. And, when I ran ads in the local paper, I also ran ads in the freebie papers too. So that's another option for you. We talked a little bit about Bandit Signs. Bandit Signs are super cheap. They cost about $1 a piece. And if you hire it out to get them put out, it'll typically cost you about $1 a piece to get that done. So you can, put 50 signs out in a certain, neighborhood or part of town. It costs you about $100 to do it, and they'll stay up for a few days, and they will generate calls. It may not be something that you want to do, but it is effective. Flyers are the same way. They're very inexpensive. You can get those things printed at Office Depot or something like that for about 3 cents a piece, and those need to go up on every bulletin board in any business that'll allow you to do it. Libraries, laundromats, Kmart, convenience stores, any of those places. The point is, you're trying to get the word out that you buy houses. I used to use a lot of promotional items, keychains, pens. Pens are great because they only cost about 25 cents a piece in most cases. And everywhere you go that you use a pen to sign a credit card receipt or anything like that, restaurants, leave the pen. And you think about it. You go into a restaurant and the waitress brings your check and she leaves a pen for you to use it. Think about how many people see your message each and every day if the waiters and waitresses in a business are using your pens and that sort of thing. So again, and there's the branding aspect as well. So business cards, man, they are a fabulous way to get a lot of messages out to people. I used to, every time I would stop and get gas, I would put 5 or 10 business cards in those gas pump toppers. And, business cards are so cheap. I think Vistaprint does 500 for $10. If that's the case, then you can get 5,000 business cards for $100, and they'll last you for a while. You're talking about a couple of cents a piece to really get the word out. Car magnetics, I think every investor should have them. I mean, you pay for them one time, they're on your car, everybody sees, that you buy houses. And I can't tell you the number of deals that I've bought just from car magnetics. Also like to have branded clothing, golf shirts, dress shirts. Queensboro, there's several outlets for those types of things, a nice embroidered logo. It really works well. I mean, there are literally hundreds of methods to do this. And, some of them are more expensive than others. You just have to determine a marketing budget and go with that. But currently, my favorite ways to market, and realize that I do this from thousands of miles away. But you can certainly use these things as well. And what you'll find is most of the methods that I use don't really cost anything. We'll be right back, and I'll talk to you guys about some of the things we're doing today that produce our best leads.
The Sub2 Deals Show with your host, Sub2 expert William Tingle. We'll be right back. Hey Sub2ers, do you want to learn how to get the deed, but need a little help getting started? Want to learn how to fill out the paperwork, how to use a land trust, how to market for deals, how to negotiate with sellers, and more? Join us in the Sub2 Deals Facebook coaching group. Get the benefits of one-on-one coaching without the big price tag. Learn to do Sub2 right with coaching in a group setting and mastermind format. Head over to sub2deals.com right now and click on consulting and group coaching. We'll save you a seat. Back to the show, the Sub2 Deals Show, with your host, Sub2 expert William Tingle.
I want to talk to you guys now about what we're doing and producing our very best leads. There are currently a few things that we do now. We aren't using the old school methods quite so much anymore. You understand that when you live thousands of miles away, it's really tough to get out there and do some of the same things. Of course, some of them you could, but we have found these to be the very best producers for us today. At number one on the list is calling Fsbos with Craigslist or Zillow or Fsbo.com. There are several other websites. These websites are great because, number one, not only do they not cost anything to use, you've literally got thousands and thousands of sellers listing their homes for sale, begging someone to come out and take a look and make them an offer. It costs you nothing to do that. You pick up the phone, call the seller, text them, email them, preferably do all three. And if you're scared to get someone on the phone, look, don't be. It's really simple. The people have a house that they want to sell, and are they all going to work with you? Absolutely not. But there are enough that makes it worthwhile. If you find yourself in a case where you're getting a voicemail and have to leave a message, let me give you a tip on something that will absolutely guarantee that these sellers will call you back, and generally pretty quickly. I learned this from a guy on the internet. I can't even remember who it was. It's been several years ago, and I've started using it, and it really works great. If you get a voicemail when you place a call, and you've got the message there and you just want to leave something really quick to get a call back, say, "Hey, Mr. Seller, need to talk to you about the house. I've got the contract sitting in front of me and I really need to go over it with you." And believe me, that's going to get them calling you back to find out what's going on. If they've forgotten about something or whatever the case may be, they're going to call you back and you're going to say, "Hey, I see you got a house for sale here. I really want to buy a house in this neighborhood. Let's talk about it, see if we can come to an agreement, and I can get this contract right over to you." And that's all you have to do. And that's going to initiate some conversation. It's going to make it a lot easier to get things done. So if you find yourself having to leave a voicemail, that's an excellent way to get a call back from a very enthusiastic seller. Number two is referrals from agents and mortgage brokers. Listen, agents talk to people every single day who either don't have enough equity, they can't afford to list with an agent, so they decide not to do it. And agents are an excellent source of referrals for these type of situations. Pick up the phone, give them a call, send them an email. "Hey, do you ever run into this situation? If you do, I'll be glad to pay a fee for that." And you'd be surprised at how many of them are open to that. Mortgage brokers, the same situation. They run into people who are in trouble. They are in foreclosure. They need to do something to pull some cash out. They can't get refinanced. Another excellent source of referrals. And not only for sellers, agents and mortgage brokers are a great source for buyers. People that have down payments, they couldn't get financed, the deal doesn't go through. What do? Well, they can pass the lead on to you, let the folks make contact with you, and you can put something together. It's really an excellent source for leads for buyers and sellers. Field service agents, if you guys have heard me talk about this in the past, field inspectors that go out and do inspections for mortgage companies have one of the hardest jobs in the world. They drive around from house to house all day long as an independent contractor, making generally between $3 and $5 per inspection. They talk to people all day long who are not happy to see them. They're abused by the people they work for and by the people that they're going out to meet every day. They do it for cheap. I mean, these people work for next to nothing. So when you get in touch with one, if you're able to, say, hey, I can pay you $25 to go by this house, take some photos, do some things, you know, they think it's great and they'll gladly add you to their route to do these things. You can use field inspectors to do a lot of things for you, taking pictures of houses that you've got leads on, and field inspectors coupled with the Deal Machine app is just a great thing. If they know the areas that you're looking to buy and they're in that area and they see a house that meets your criteria, all they've got to do is snap a photo of it. It's going to come to you on your desktop, and you can choose to either mail to that person or call them and contact them, or whatever the case may be. It's just a really cool tool. These guys work really hard. The last deal that we got was actually from a field inspector. And I mean, it was a really sweet deal. Targeted mailings, we still do targeted mailings, still like that a whole lot. MLS soon to expires, divorces, and foreclosures are our favorites. You get those lists through a list service, county websites, through MLS access. Again, your contacts with your agents will help you with that. And also software programs like PropStream. We'll drop a couple of links to Deal Machine and PropStream in the show notes so you guys can take a look at this stuff if you want. Use our link. You'll get some free time with them, a week, 2 weeks. And give it a try and see what you think. I really believe PropStream is going to become the go-to product for real estate investors simply because of all the things that it does. But take a look at it and see what you think. Marketing. It's so important to your business. You're really not going to go anywhere if you're not out there trying to get leads. These are just a few ideas. There are tons more. Visit our group on Facebook at the Sub2Deals Forum and take a look there. We talk about this stuff all the time. Glad you joined me today. Hope you got some information out of this. Send me an email at william@sub2deals.com if I can help in any way. I hope you guys have a great day and get out there and buy some houses.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Sub2Deals Show with William Tingle. If you enjoyed today's episode, please leave a review and subscribe. And for more great content and to stay up to date, visit sub2deals.com, on Facebook at Sub2Deals. We'll catch you next time.